Hello everyone, welcome to your lecture on gender segregation in media. This lecture is a part of your paper on gender, media and society. The lecture here is to evaluate how the inclusion of gender issues into the curriculum of communication studies can go far enough to address the existing social inequalities and examining the relevance of it in the context of media houses of India. There is a discernible difference among academicians in the present scenario regarding the implication of raising the issues of gender and incorporating the same into the field of communication, both in terms of industry involvement as well as academic pursuits. Although the gender issues have been raised to a certain extent, it has so far achieved considerable success not only among the academic fraternity but has also helped in policy making, thus contributing to the improvement of the social, cultural and economic position of women and students at large. But the integrative framework of theoretical suggestions have become redundant, and the relevance of such work and its true significance in society today has emerged as a critical project. In such a complicated situation where the armchair theorization of gender issues is superfluous and outmoded, academicians have a much greater responsibility in stepping outside the existing debates and locate gender issues within the framework of communication studies and its relationship with the broader social totality. Instead of confining gender issues to the fringes of the marginal educational process which isolates it, they should be brought to the forefront of the educational mainstream. This is crucial for the development and empowerment of women and builds on their level of confidence and solidarity. It is concurred that it is not feasible to present a universal notion of social reality by only adding on the issues of gender into the curriculum of communication studies. However, even the partial or provisional inclusion of gender issues into the curriculum might challenge the students intellectually, which will eventually develop their rational capacity as budding journalists. Thus, they will be able to reconceptualize the very notion of gender differences existing within the societal framework. The budding communicators should be made aware of the gender-related laws that can combat the existing gender inequality and discrimination in the field of education. Hence, the inclusion of gender issues in the curriculum of communication studies is no more an option but should rather be treated as a compulsion. Conceptualizing segregation. We must try to address the issue of gender from the perspective of media studies. We must try to focus on the intricate relationship that gender has with that of the media. The media, with its access and wide reach, is to a great extent responsible for the propagation of gender as perceived by the society. The notions of masculinity and femininity, the representation of female in the media, females as consumers of media, online gender communications, and of course, contemporary pertinent issues of violence, discrimination and bias are some of the major points that need immediate incorporation into the curriculum of media studies. A structural framework of the portions that ought to be included into communication studies must also comprise the national and global perspectives on gender, the prevalent social inequalities and exclusion, the legal terrains, as well as cultural and social practices of gender discrimination. The performance of women in the field of media has gradually improved. They have even outperformed men at several levels. But women do not get better jobs than their male counterpart in the labor market afterwards. A set of preconceived notions regarding masculinity and femininity and the relationship of these with education and the labor market tends to affect both. The careers of women are conditioned by the expectation of marriage and childbearing. Gender inequality is reasserted even through vocational training and education, where a particular kind of masculinity and femininity is emphasized upon in spite of a formal commitment to equal opportunities. The Global Media Monitoring Project found that among 54 subjects investigated by researchers, women were mostly featured in 4 classification stories involving women politicians, news stories associated to fertility, birth control, abortion and sterilization, domestic relations, and a range of other subjects which include beauty competitions, fashion and style, cosmetic surgical procedure, and modeling. Areas having worst gender equality included national defense, economics, and peace negotiations, and foreign policy. In the news stories where women featured, they were mostly found relaying personal experiences, a role which does not require special knowledge or expertise. Gender bias relating to women is not only there while reporting or selection of news, it occurs while selecting reporters to cover news stories. Women journalists are offered the softer roles like covering lifestyle, health, entertainment, culture, and the like. While women have been on the forefront while covering war protests, negotiations, etc., they have been mostly ignored in these roles. In the print media, compared to men, fewer women write for opinion pages of newspapers. Women who make it to the top positions are often forced to quit their jobs because of demanding working hours, as they are expected to maintain a harmony between household chores and night shifts. Men are still wielding the ultimate power in television and newspapers. Women rarely have the decision-making power in these male bastions. More participation of women is preferred on the television because of their good looks, which will increase the television rating points or TRPs. Towards more awareness. The very concept of work is often viewed as a force for change or liberation. It is envisioned as a tool for empowerment or as a means to achieve social mobility or as an instrument needed to build an egalitarian society. The present day system is just another channel for maintaining and reproducing power relations within the boundaries of a traditional society. Media portrayal. In media portrayal, gender is simplified into hypermasculinity and femininity. Consumer culture dominates the construction of the concept of femininity and masculinity. The findings of a study based on 22,000 news items across 36 different media outlets in South Africa show that topics covered regarding boys and girls follow gender stereotypical lines. Boys feature more in sports related stories and girls as victims of some form of abuse. The global average of women as news subjects is only 18%. The underrepresentation is widely prevalent across the world. The uses of stereotypes are not just concerning what society presumes from females, but what females assume for themselves. According to a discussion held online on women and media by the United Nations Department of Public Information, highlighted the points that avert women from attaining high-ranking places in media establishments include: number 1, absence of gender receptive strategies; number 2, absence of aids and high proficient standards; number 3, absence of effective interacting on the side of women; number 4, cultural issues; number 5, preconception restraining women to definite forms of reporting. Society. The social conditions also at times reinforce the bias. According to Raheja, the recent incidents of crime against women journalists have made media companies conscious of whom they are hiring. Women are mostly left with two options: either go for a job that helps them to return home before sunset, or move to a city which is more female friendly. Leaving aside competition and lack of credentials, a woman cannot get a job of a journalist with a media organization if she stays 50 kilometers away from the office. Women traveling back late at night can be strenuous for the organization. Summing up this lecture, we learned, despite the changes that have happened in the media scenario of the country, a lot needs to be done to integrate women and gender concerns in the news agenda of mainstream media. We learned that there is over-representation of certain categories of women like celebrities, politicians, the rich and the famous. Large numbers who constitute the majority are ignored. Media content still continues to be male-centric. To ensure that women move up the job ladder in the organization, there needs to be mentoring and development programs which help in augmenting skills and leadership abilities. A positive shift towards equality will require that media includes more news about and for women. This means not only covering issues relating to women, but ensuring that the content is balanced across gender lines and acknowledges the diversity that is representative of 50% of the world population. There has to be strong commitment on the part of the management of media organizations to ensure that there is gender equality and diversity. It needs to be ensured that women occupy all positions in the newsroom, which includes senior positions. There also needs to be pay equality between men and women to remove the gender divide. To ensure that women move up the job ladder in the organization, there needs to be mentoring and development programs which help in augmenting skills and leadership abilities. Education course curriculum should have a practical approach in addressing the dominant form of gender issues in academics that might stimulate the students to look at the society afresh and come up with new insights as far as gender discrimination is concerned. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture. For more details, please read the e-text of the module and answer the questions given at the end of each module. Thank you.